morning. Great morning. Wonderful morning. Spectacular morning. Outstanding morning. Magnificent morning. Yes. As usual, as what's been normal with the beginning of every one of these calls, the reminder that you, me, all of us, we get to choose. Remember, we always have a choice. You always have a choice. I always have a choice. And what is that choice? That choice is that you get to choose how you're going to think. Remember, you don't become what you think about most of the time. You become how you're thinking most of the time. How you're thinking. And what does that consist of? Well, it consists of what you're imagining to be true, what you're perceiving, or in other words, what your perception is, what you're holding on the screen of your mind, which is a way of thinking. Remember, that's what externalizes in your life. That's what you manifest. You don't manifest, for instance, the goal card, the vision board, the affirmation. You manifest how that information is moving through your mind, how you're connected to it. See, it's the emotional attachment that delivers the outcome. Emotional detachment delivers no outcome. The whole point being is that it's all about how you're going to think, about the meanings that you're going to give the things that are happening in your life. Remember, everything is fundamentally meaningless. Everything just is. Nothing is good or bad. It's our thinking that makes it so. And with that thinking, whatever that is, however that is, that leads you onto a vibratory state, and that vibratory state is what deals with the attraction and the repulsion in your life. You want more money to come into your life, you've got to be in harmony with it inside. You can't think about ideas that are not in harmony with wealth and abundance, prosperity, and expect that to come into your life. Remember, things are not brought into existence by thinking of their opposites. And that's why we have these beautiful calls to remind you of that hidden power in you. Now, with that, my reminder for you again, as with every one of these calls as well, is that, okay, knowing this information, yeah, that's kind of cool, but it's not going to change your life to know this. See, it's through the use of it that you will receive the change you seek. So use it and use it as if your life depends on it. You know why? Because it does. So I was perusing through this book before we started, and this is The Power of Awareness. And there was one line in here that I loved so much, and it just popped out. And it was a beautiful reminder of the power we have. And this is in Who is Your Imagination? And it actually comes from the second book, because this is Power of Awareness, but there's another book in this one called Awaken Imagination. And in the chapter of Who is Your Imagination, notice how he doesn't ask the question, what is your imagination? Who? The big deal. And then he says this, imagination is our redeemer. Write that in your notes. Imagination is my redeemer. So he says, imagination is our redeemer, the Lord from heaven, born of man, not begotten of man. Now grab onto that. Your imagination is the gateway to the freedom that you seek. You're either a slave to your imagination or a master of your imagination. See, it's the latter that will deliver the life that you would love to live, but only if you imagine it and then from there are loyal to it. Remember, you've got to be loyal to the image, to the ideal, in order for it to be made manifest as a physical result in your life, as a material result in your life. You want more money to pour abundantly into your life? Guess what? You've got to build that in your own mind first. So you've got to think from that and then love that. And then from there, it'll start to take shape in your outer world. Now, this goes for everything in your life, your lifestyle, your vocation. And this is what we're hoping that you grab onto for you. Now, What we've been studying here is the master key system, which is, again, another beautiful gem. And if you don't have this copy, get this copy. If you want to know how to get this copy, just reach out to us or click on the link that we provide you so you can get this. Now, with that being said, make sure that you mark it up, underline it, use it. More importantly, that's the biggest part. Use it in your life practically. All right, so let's go to where we are, shall we? Let's dive into where we are in this as you have your gold card with you. And let's dig into it. Now, here we talked about this before, but we're going to talk about it again. You know how I like to revisit things, right? And I want you to really, again, use this. The page that we're on is page 272. And here we're going back to section 11 here. And what does he say? Mr. Haanel says, here we have a vision of the law. We see cause and effect. We see that thought necessarily precedes and determines action. Now, I instructed you to underline that. Is it underlined? Did you underline it from my instructions? Okay, good. I see a lot of yeses. That's fantastic. Okay. Thought necessarily precedes and determines action. Now, what is it that happens that leads to the action? See, this is important for you. This is why it's important that you become how you're thinking most of the time, not what you think about most of the time. How you're thinking, which is rooted in the beliefs you have, the patterns in your mind, leads to an emotional state. Now, did you catch that? Feeling is the secret. That's what Neville Goddard shares. And that feeling, whatever it is the motivating factor for every action you take, which means that, guess what? You can't actually make yourself do anything. Why? Because those actions, and that's what I'm referring to here. I'm not talking about the doing within your mind. I'm talking about the physical actions, or, you're going to do something. They automatically happen based from the emotion that you're experiencing. So, in other words, you don't have free will to act. You have only free will to choose your thoughts. Now, again, think about the line there. How you're thinking leads to an emotional state, which then leads to the action. And even inaction, which is really not a thing, there's really no such thing as inaction. There's only action. When I came to that epiphany, I was going, wow, that's pretty cool. But with that being said, whether you do something or don't do it, it's because of a feeling that you're having. Now, the key, though, when you look at this, is an understanding that you can control the feelings that are on the stage. Why? Because you can think whatever you want to think. Can anyone force you to think the thoughts you think? What's the answer? No. Right? Your greatest power is your ability to accept, to reject ideas. And again, why is that important? Well, because of this, because thought necessarily precedes and determines action. Remember, we're talking about cause and effect, the sowing, the reaping. You want to change what you're reaping, you got to change what's been sown. And the sowing part in you is all about how you're thinking. Now, I want you to write this in your notes again around this. My only job is to sow. I've had you write that many times, right? Now we're going to write it again. My only job is to sow. Don't concern yourself with the reaping. Once you tie into the reaping, what are you not doing? You're not sowing. Ah, that's no good. When it's time to reap, you will reap. You'll know when it's time to reap. Why? Because it's going to be evident in front of you. So your only job is to sow. Now, if we are wise, if you're wise, we shall come into a realization of the tremendous fact that no arbitrary condition can exist for a moment, and that human experience is the result of an orderly and harmonious sequence. Now, let's grab on to this. In essence, you'll see that as you dive into what's being shared here, is that life follows law, not randomness. Write that in your notes. Life follows law, not randomness. So with that, start assuming that you already have the things that you would love in your life, that it's already here. And you know what'll start happening? Your life will start to reflect those ideas that you're emotionally involved with if you get emotionally involved with them. Remember, that's what gets externalized. Now grab onto that again. Life follows law, not randomness. There's an orderly sequence to everything, but you can't look at it looking forward. As Steve Jobs shared, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. And again, a way for you to actually practically examine this is just look in the room you're in right now, the things that were made. Okay, here I got glasses. This is a physical thing. This is a result. There was an orderly sequence that led to the making of this, that led to this being in my hand. See, someone imagined this, these glasses, this style, the shape of it. They were loyal to the idea, which led to the design happening in a program, which then led to the connection with the machinery that pieced it all together after they pulled in all the material. See, the whole point is that it all started in the mind. And when you look at it and you look at these glasses, if you look going backwards, you'll see that it all started where? It started in heaven, in someone's heaven. And you have your heaven. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth. Okay, on earth. Okay, here's something that's happening on as it is in heaven, as it is in your heaven. Well, it's the same thing for you when it comes to any outcome you seek. You want to earn more, you've got to build that in your own mind first, and then you've got to be loyal to it. You've got to hold it. Now let's go further. But before we go further, if you've been watching this streamed on the outside platforms, if you'd love to continue with this, then just go to elevitality.com and register for Master Your Mind so you can watch the whole